Okay, whether you like it or not, your optimism might be just the thing getting in the way of getting you funding. And sometimes you need a really good mentor or advisor to just tell you how it is. I know those people have been so valuable in my career, like life changing. And so we have got the best person here today to do that for you. We have Shaun Gold. He is a true polymath. He is renowned for his broad expertise, diverse experiences across multiple industries. Side note, he was on Jeopardy! I found that out last night. Very excited. He's a lifelong entrepreneur, 2x Amazon bestselling author, international speaker, content creator, investor, and super connector. And aside from all that, he is absolutely hilarious on LinkedIn. And that's where we got connected. And it's a rare thing to find someone who will give you the truth and in a really funny way. Like, I literally crack up when I read his posts. So before you do anything, follow him on LinkedIn, and we're going to have a great show today. He's going to talk about all the pitfalls of pitch decks and pitching investors. Self-awareness is half the battle, and he is going to lay it out for us. So let's go. Shaun, welcome. How you doing today?
What an introduction. I mean that is probably the best introduction I've ever had. I want to just take you on the road with me. Just stop this podcast, come on everyone with me, just do the intro soundbite and dip. I'm good. Thanks for having me. This is exciting. Just that introduction, it's a lot of pressure and we can see if I live up to it together.
I know, yeah, right. No pressure there. Well, I don't think you have to worry because I don't know, you definitely have a way with words. And as I did some more research on you, sounds like you really truly do have a knack for writing and telling stories. And that is what pitch decks are all about, and pitching for investors and trying to sell your vision and get funding. So let's kick it off. I like to get right into the nitty gritty, but I think your background is just so amazing and impressive. Can you just expand a little bit on, like, because you've seen a gazillion pitch decks. So I just want people to really understand how much experience you have in this space and what you're doing.
Yeah, of course. So I've been an entrepreneur for as long as I can remember. People these days, one of the worst things I see in pitch decks, we're going to change the world together with your help. And it's like entrepreneurship is not about changing the world. It's about changing yourself. It's about, hey, I want that, but I don't have any money. How do I do something to get money to buy that? Whether it's a car, a house, an Xbox, I don't know, a Michelin starred dinner. You need money for that. So to me, I was always like, I didn't have any resources. So I always had to just figure something out. And I've come essentially from the streets, right? Like I was doing this since I was a kid, so I had to just make money however I could. I had an e-commerce business when I was like 12. I like to call myself an early adopter of PayPal back when people was like, don't take money online. Where's your money? Don't leave it there. It could be poof. I was doing that for a while. I did educational assistance for a long time, which was writing people's papers. I pretty much started throwing parties when I was 16, 17, and became one of the most integral nightlife impresarios in Miami, working with celebrities and high net worth individuals and some of the biggest brands in the world at some of the highest grossing nightclubs. I was then suckered into startups. I had no desire to do it. I know anything about it. And by doing so many startups, I got suckered into VC at a time when I couldn't spell it. Still can't wait. VC. Yeah, okay, making sure. Um, During that time, I started lecturing at a bunch of different schools on startups and entrepreneurship, up to 13 now. And I mean, real schools like
Oh,
Columbia, Notre Dame, Georgetown MBA program, not New Jersey Turnpike Community College, or as they call it, the Pike.
which is
Real
still
schools.
cool. That's totally
Yeah,
cool.
still a school. Yeah, I wrote my books. Yeah, just did so much. I mean, I did everything non-technical in a startup, from startups that were just two guys that had no idea what they were doing to startups that were well capitalized and raised millions of dollars and failed. It's one thing to work with a startup that fails because it doesn't get off the ground. It's another to work with multiple startups that have millions, that have a good cap table, that have really solid names on the cap table, and they still implode, right? So basically from working in so many different startups and seeing how the story is told, how a pitch deck should look, how people should operate, how a strategy should look. Everything except the actual coding of whatever the product is. I mean, I've done it. I've helped out because I've just done so many different things, and it's like I'm the Swiss Army knife, one-stop shop to be like, you should do this, you should do that. I just have so much experience, and that doesn't include the fact that I've, mentor at Founders Institute, which is the largest pre-seed accelerator in the world. I used to be the entrepreneur in residence at the Baltic Sandbox Accelerator. I've spoken at multiple conferences on startup, storytelling, venture capital, engaged in multiple secondary deals, which is our focus right now in our fund. So Series B and above. Sorry. I know you think AI for ants is going to be valued at 20 trillion dollars, but you're at the pre-seed. I get it, but we're not there yet. And just so many different like things I've experienced across the board, right? So I have a unique kind of outlook from the experience. And I have the unique experiences from just doing stuff on the street level to doing stuff with some of the richest people in the world as clients to being able to maneuver in different industries, whether it's wealth management, whether it's alternative assets, venture capital, private equity, and just working for a wide variety of startups. I mean, the first startup I ever worked with was an Uber competitor before Uber was a thing,
Wow.
right? The second one I worked with was a dating app where I was in charge of like Miami and all of South Florida, which is an oxymoron in itself. A dating app in Miami. So you learn really fast how people game the system, how your technology is abused. There's a quote I love from one of my favorite books by William Gibson called Neuromancer. He created the genre of cyberpunk, meaning high tech, low life. And the quote is that the streets always find a way, right? With your technology, with your product, with your service. It's great that you have it in the pitch. It looks good on LinkedIn. And oh man, it's beautiful in the docs end. You pitch it. But the streets will find a use for it. The actual people that you don't know are probably going to find a way to hack it, gamify it, abuse it, do something with it that you weren't expecting. And I think a lot of founders don't realize that because they're not from the streets and don't have like the street level view of how someone can abuse it. And I mean, I've abused platforms myself. I mean, when Facebook came out, I don't want to date myself, but I was in like the first batch of schools and I was doing parties. So I abused that platform. I copied every single person's name and put them all in one giant group. So I had my entire university in a party group, and overnight everyone knew who I was. I just kept sending messages. Facebook wasn't created to be a spam bot, but they didn't know that because the streets need to find a way. They weren't counting on someone like me to be like, let's copy and paste all night, all night. Their profiles, put them in, put them in, and put them in, and then just we have all their contact. So yeah, it's a bit of a long-winded question to your answer, but I hope it addresses all the points because I've done a lot and I'm still doing a lot. Every day is a new adventure. I put the fun in fun.
I love it. So let's talk real quick because this is just my own personal ask here. So on your LinkedIn posts, you do, and this is why I laugh, and I think I messaged you and said this. You basically set up, what the entrepreneur is thinking and as they're talking to the investor or whatever it is. And then you put this little line, of them basically just saying, but Shaun, because we in our heads, an investor will say something or we'll get feedback and then we're like, no, but you don't understand, my idea is so good, and no, but my pitch deck is perfect. So tell us a little bit about, you see a lot of pitch decks and you've experienced a lot of pitches. Is there anything in a pitch deck that you see that you come across where you're like, this person gets it? Is there anything like that? Like
Oh, of
versus
course.
focusing on the negative real quick?
Yeah, well, let's focus on the positive. Who wants to hear that? But of course, if it's short, okay,
Sure.
you have 2 minutes and change, like 2 minutes, 10 seconds, according to DocSend, not my opinion, DocSend, that analyzes all the pitch decks that are used on the platform and how an investor opens them. 2 minutes and like 10 seconds to make, your impression, problem solution, team, traction, ask, market, of course, all that. But people don't get that. They want to, they want to go in every other direction. But the ones that get it, 10 to 12 slides, boom, that's it. Very short. They operate on signals, right? What do I mean by signals? Instead of just saying team, or instead of saying 1,000 years of combined experience, even though it's an AI startup and AI hasn't been around for more than 2 decades, you do you, like strong signals, exited founder, or a team from the big five, ex-FANG operators, like just really strong signals because to be honest, investors don't even read decks anymore. They read the headlines. They have things to do. They got a pickleball game to get to. They have tweets to write, all that stuff. And you really want to go into it quickly to be like, okay, I want to learn more. I want to take a meeting. So short, concise, signal based with real strong signals, and the most important, being investable, being venture backable. Not every startup is venture backable. Okay, your new restaurant chain, okay, Cheesy Charlie's or whatever, no one's gonna give you 5 million to do Cheesy Charlie's. Um,
Thank God.
it's like you need to have something that is backable and investable, and it becomes a venture backable asset, right? That can scale. Okay, so if you're not going to be the next Facebook or Google, even though you think you will be, if you're not going to be the next company that's going to have, a $9 billion acquisition, or a $5 billion IPO, if you're not going to have a major liquidity event, if you're not going to get to that valuation, if you're not going to get to that level, it doesn't fit the investor mindset. It doesn't fit the mission. It doesn't fit their business model. So people need to understand that, and a lot of them just are not venture backable, and they're not ready. People that, again, being ready, 10 to 12 slides, you're ready, because people are going to say, okay, slide one, value prop, sounds good. Slide two, team, wow, you guys are experienced. Three, that is a problem. Four, okay, solution. Five, market seems big enough for venture. Six, product looks good. Seven, oh wow, traction. Ooh, sexy. You actually have real numbers, real revenue. You're cash flow positive. You're growing month over month. The competition, well, you acknowledge that there's competition. Most people like to think no one else is doing it. That's why we're going to win. And you have an ask. Okay, a lot of pitch decks don't have an ask. They're just like, thanks for reading. like, and you have to have an ask what you're raising. Are you raising $500,000 in a small round? Okay, that sounds kind of normal. Or are you raising 25 million so you can kickstart operations and get away from your cool dude 76 Gmail account and buy a real Google account for your business that, even though it's $6 a month, I always still hear, we have to wait until we complete our raise before we spend anything. That'll be the subject of a next LinkedIn post. Bootstrap is not a shield. Just tell us that you're cheap. Okay, tell us that you're cheap or broke. Just stop saying we're bootstrapped. We see through it. It's code. We're tired of it. I'm bootstrapping this. I'm bootstrapping everything. So yeah, so you have to, the ones that get it right, they kind of follow that form, and they know it, because it's hard. First off, it's never fun to raise money. Nobody in the entire history of the industry or any industry is like, I love raising money. Nobody does. Whether you're a VC raising from your LPs, whether you're a founder raising from VCs, whether you're even in like another vertical, like if you're in film and you want to raise money for a film, because I'm in entertainment as well, like it sucks. You have endless meetings. It takes forever. It's never just like, one week and you're done. There's a due diligence process. And, as you're raising, you still need to be working on your startup. And a lot of founders also make the mistake of, we're in fundraising mode right now. I don't know what that means, So it's like I can't do anything because we're just focused on fundraising. So you're sending out a bunch of cold emails with a pitch deck, and you can't do anything else. Like that's the fundraising mode. So yeah, a lot of people just don't get it, and my goal through comedy and entertainment is to kind of set them straight, and to kind of don't waste time. It's not fun. It's a long process. You have to be really fanatical about this, and you have to be willing to take the abuse. And it never ends. You're always going to need more money. It's a rare startup that is well capitalized with a single round and can make the runway last for years.
Mhm.
And those are the ones that are really good. So they don't have to come back every 12 months, every 15 months. We need the raise. We can't keep up. We can't. I mean, it's just you want to have it where you can keep going. I mean, I tell everyone, like, if you don't need to raise, then don't waste the time. Just keep building out the business. You're going to get to a point where you can raise from a position of strength and not a position of, AI for enchiladas is the next big food craze. And we really need $10 million to build it out. And look at the chef we have. Look at the AI person we have. But we can't hire any of them because we don't have money, which is why we're seeing you. Give us the money and you get free enchiladas for life. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Um, yeah, no, I think it's crazy. The thing with that too is anybody could make their deck simple. So it's like you might not be able to control that your idea was AI for enchiladas, right? Maybe that's just your like, but you could still have a simple deck. You could still use signals. So I think that's one of the things. And I'm get decks a lot right now that are just full of paragraphs of information.
Who's got time for that? Like again, like who has time to read any of that? I don't want a novel. Okay. If I
Yeah.
want a novel, I will read a John Grisham book. Okay. Like I don't want to read the paragraphs and the pages. And our team is awesome because here's how we met. Seventh grade, 2004, chemistry class. Like nobody wants that. Okay.
Yeah.
When you have if the startup is sexy, the question will come up, how do you know each other? And then you can talk about it. But even then, don't just say we met in chemistry class, we've been entrepreneurial ever since. Not just like, well, we had a funny experiment that went wrong. Let me tell you about it. When you take hydrogen peroxide and you mix it, like, no, nobody wants that. But yeah, I feel that a lot of founders think that they're writing the holy grail quest tale in their pitch deck. They have an inflated sense of their own idea and self-importance as a founder and as a startup, and they don't realize that VC is very competitive.
Mhm.
Firms only make a few investments a year, right? It's like 0.0001%. It's easier to get into a higher tier school than it is to raise VC money. So people need to take it seriously. They need to be prepared, and they have to have the knowledge and the skill set. And it's not like it's hidden esoteric knowledge where you have to follow me on TikTok and pay $10 a month to join my Discord. It's publicly available. I mean, at Open VC, we have guides, how to build a pitch deck, the signals you need to avoid, how to value your startup, how to do a cold email outreach. Here's cold email templates. We have all that. It's free. You just have to go there. You don't have to do much. You just have to read it. You can even run it through an AI to help you and then humanize it, and you're done. But still, like I feel like nobody wants to do the effort. They just like, here's my deck. Where's my meeting? Where's my millions? But
And
look, there's
that's
nothing
why I
here.
think your posts are so funny because I mean, that information is everywhere, and yet people still feel like theirs is more important and they need to put all this information in the deck or something, or, they feel like they have to over explain. I think it happens during pitches too, answering questions, just over explaining, going down rabbit holes, like you said. Talk to us a little bit about mistakes you see in investor outreach, like the cold email
Oh,
things.
just
I think
just
that's
just one? Well, first, I think that here's something again really simple that practice your pitch. Okay. So at Founders Institute, we do the pitch days, right? And they're generous. They give you 3 minutes. You're supposed to be like two. I've even done it before. It's like 60 seconds in and out. I got things to do. But people don't practice. They literally are pitching in front of people that are real investors that can give them feedback, and they don't practice the pitch. They just say, I got it. So 3 minutes goes by and they have a 20 slide deck and they're on slide three.
Oh,
Okay. And then we cut them off. The mic is cut. And then we can't give them feedback. We give them bad grades. We downgrade them because they don't practice. So practicing the pitch, I mean, it's your pitch. You should know it inside and out. Put the stopwatch on the phone. Go old school and get a Casio watch that beeps when the time is up. I don't care what you have to do, but practice it. It's like going on Shark Tank and being like, "Where was I? What was I thinking? Hold on, cut. How many takes do we get? How many? Can we do that again? We do that. Wasn't like that, but you have to practice. But as far as the cold outreach, I mean, where do I begin? Okay. Not doing the research to target your investor. Well, I see that you have a pulse and it says you're an investor. I have a pulse too, and I'm a founder. Invest in me. There's no targeted outreach. Someone that does specifically biotech in the Series A or Series B above is not going to look at the pre-seed AI for sushi. It's not going to happen. Okay. People don't do that. Second, everyone comes off with a sign of desperation, right? And it's like any negotiation, you negotiate from a position of strength, or at least the appearance of strength. You don't say, pretty please, you really need to do this. And if it doesn't work out, I'll promise to give you your money back. Okay. How are you going to do that? You're taking the money to scale the business. Are you going to go to another investor and get that money and give me my money back? Like, taking from Peter to pay Paul. I think that's called a Ponzi scheme, but you do you. Dear sir or madam, I mean, if I get one more dear sir or madam, I mean, that's like the laziest of laziest. Using ChatGPT, but not humanizing it, having it generate it for you. And there's so many giveaways. I mean, I do a ton of content, ghostwriting, all that stuff. And I can just go on LinkedIn and it's all slop, right? The reason people come to me and the reason people work with me, whether they're startups or executives, is because it's real and it's human and it's not like, here's the brackets, right? So there's a lot of like dead giveaways that are just the dash symbols. But here's the kicker: here's the truth. Let me be clear. Like all the same things. It doesn't even sound like your voice. Um, being lazy. I have, I kid you not, I have DMs where people come to me and say, we're raising funding for our new hot startup called insert company name, like in the brackets. They even fill out, they didn't even put the brackets in. And unless your startup is called insert company name, that sounds cool. Okay. But I have a feeling it's not because it also says insert contact information. You lost me there. Um, Not leading with the signals, sending your subject line as in, hi, valued investor, or looking for the next giant Google killer or something like that instead of leading with your signals.
Yeah.
Two-time exited founder, 30% month-over-month growth, fintech, something like that. That way, the subject line, oh, wow, 5 seconds. I know what you're doing. Let me click here. You have the name. Again, that to whom it may concern, dear sir or madam. Okay, yeah, we're going to see through that. Not attaching the pitch deck. If you like it, I can send you the pitch deck.
Okay.
You should include it, and just being short. Again, under 100 words,
Yeah.
right? In and out. This is what we're doing. I'm working on this. I saw that you invested previously in this company. I saw you had an exit with this company, which is similar to what we're doing. We're lead with some signals. Well, here's the deck. Let me know. Done. But Shaun, that's going to take forever. Okay,
Oh,
well,
that was
that's
the
part of the
voice. I
work.
was waiting to hear you do it. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. It's going to take forever. Yeah, well, it should take no more than 10 minutes per investor, but you're going to have to reach out to a lot of them. So yeah, it's going to take work. It's kind of what a startup is supposed to do, work. So yeah, I mean, there's more, but that's like kind of an overview. And again, it's you have to treat fundraising and outreach like it's a sales call, like you would for any product or service. And I mean, I've done outbound campaigns, and it's like you really only have one shot to get it right, and first impressions are everything. And a pitch deck is not meant to get you fundraising. A pitch deck and cold outreach is meant to get you a meeting, to put a face to the name, to have that relationship so that when they do pass on, I don't know, AI for hot chocolate, 8 months later, when you pivoted and they say, hey, we pivoted 8 months ago into something new and people are actually using, and now we're at this much revenue, maybe we can reconnect. Oh, that sounds cool because I wasn't in AI for hot chocolate, but now you're actually doing something that people are paying for and that you're scaling up with. Okay, because you have that relationship. It's and people, investors see it, I see it. People want to like pillage your network. They want to pillage your mind. They want to pillage your knowledge. They want to pillage your connections. And it's to the point where people don't have time to hop on a call. They don't want to hop on a call, right? They know you're going to be like, let me share my screen, right? Like nobody wants to see that. Let me show you what I'm working on. It's just like, no, like we don't want it. If there's something that we have a talk with, then let's do it, right? And stop trying to shove the calendar down their throats. That's another thing I hate. Upcoming future posts. Here's a calendar. Let's pick the brain. I'm not interested. But so can do. I could pretty much look at the clouds. I go for a walk. I could watch paint dry. Okay, they're all much more productive than being on a call for something that I'm not interested in, that you don't want to work with me on, that you only want money. And there's always like, well, if you're not interested, I'm sure you know somebody that is. And it's like, sure, let me reach out to someone that I've taken years to build trust and a relationship with, to introduce them to a stranger for a startup that is terrible and is never going to go anywhere beyond the idea stage, and that only harms me, so that when I send them something really good or I need a favor, heaven forbid, I don't get left on red. So I mean, yeah, it's founders need to understand the game. That's really what it is. It's an entirely different game than what they've been taught. It's an entirely different game than whatever paid Discord tells them, whatever YouTube videos they watch. The reality of it is very difficult. And there's not a single founder I know, both that failed and both that exited, that didn't say, "Oh, it was so much fun raising money." Right? We've done these founder exit interviews on OpenVC. Really solid people. We had one, the first startup I worked with, his previous startup, he was doing $100 million a year. Talked about how he had to do it. We had another founder exit interview with Vaban, another founder exit interview with Design by Night. And it's my whole questions are always about, how did you survive before you had money? Not, what's your morning routine? Stupid question. Like, we all need a morning routine. It's stupid. It's pretty simple. You wake up and go to work. I don't see what the big morning routine is. But like, how did you survive as you were trying to like build a company and scale? And those are the answers that really I think are helpful. Oh, well, someone we knew worked at Google. They had snacks. We would go there 3 times a week and steal the snacks. Okay. Well, we had a Sam's Club membership. So we'd go when tuna was on sale and buy it by the crate load. Like all these like different things that like, okay, that's what you need to do. It wasn't just like, well, we asked for 5 million, got 10 because we were so awesome, and then we just deployed it. Boom, startup's done. So yeah, it's people need to realize how difficult it is. People need to realize how hard it is, and people need to realize that yes, there are people to help you, but you need to be able to earn that help. You need to be able to actually be gaining people's attention and showing that you're real, you know what you're doing, you're on point, you're the next person to watch. I mean, when you're that person, investors will come to you. They want to brag about discovering you when you were living in like the boiler room or your car or whatever, and then you were building this company and they backed you. So when they have the big exit or they have all the success, they can brag about it at their VC dinners or whatever they do, so they can look cool amongst their colleagues.
Yeah. It really, I mean, it's cliche, but it really is like dating in the sense that you don't want to like throw up all over the person before at the first meeting. It's relationship building. And I think to your point, it's like doing the things that other people aren't willing to do, right? You can do all the easy stuff, but you're not going to stand out and you're just not going to get get very far. Um, Design of the pitch deck and visuals, how important is it?
So I'd say you have to not be ugly. It doesn't have to be like, I see a lot of designers that charge like $10,000 for a deck. Okay. What are we doing? Like a Disney animation? Like, um, investors don't really care about the design. They care that it's readable, right? And they care that you have something, and they care that you actually have a venture backable business. Like, I mean, I don't want spelling errors. I don't want it to see that it was made with Clippy. Remember Clippy? He was the old school AI. He was always popping up in PowerPoint back in the day, telling you to add a title or a bullet point. Awesome. And that's where my 20 years of AI experience started. Doesn't count, but whatever. Um, yeah, it needs to be at least somewhat presentable. It doesn't have to, set the world on fire. I don't need to know about the turquoise or the courier sans or all the different like again, 2 minutes and change. Make it count. If it looks somewhat presentable, cool. If it looks like it was just haphazardly thrown together and looks horrible, probably not going to pass the test. So there needs to be a balance. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on it, but you should spend enough money that you have something that is the guts of it. The storytelling is that's what investors are going to look at. They're not that like, wow, I didn't realize how Magento looks when positioned with a SaaS offering. Let's take a call. This he's got vision, right? So yeah, it should be again at least somewhat designed, not to the highest caliber if you can afford it, but just it's really about the meat and the guts and to look presentable.
Yeah, I think there's something too where I've seen where people's deck is talking about, we are so innovative ahead of the curve, but their deck looks like it's from like 2005. And it's like, you gotta kind of have that, you gotta look like you're, a little tech forward if you're going to make those
I
claims.
mean, the thing with that is they probably took a template, like a Facebook template or like an Uber template of what they use to raise money. And like, we're going to copy them because look at them now. They're all billion-dollar companies.
Mm.
And they don't realize that like times change, information changes. Oh, I don't know. I remember I had a flip phone back then. And I was texting on a flip phone. I'm not going to give them a flip phone to use. You're going to do something that's more, recent. So it's yeah, I feel that if you're going to use those vomit-inducing jargon. Like, oh, we're ahead of the curve and we're so innovative. Why? Tell me why. Tell me why in one bullet point why you're so ahead of a curve. And if you are, why does this deck look like you stole it from Mark Zuckerberg's dorm room?
Yeah, exactly. Um, in terms of like differentiating from the competition, because I think that's one where people struggle with a little bit getting that concise and point across. Do you like seeing like competitive matrix in a deck, or is it just like,
No.
no, okay,
I
here,
mean,
we're better for this reason, period.
here's the quadrants. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody else is here. And of course it'll be like, here's Netflix, here's Facebook, here's Uber. It's always some company that's like worth billions and is a market leader, but they're all the way at the bottom left. we're up here in the right by ourselves. We're in our own category. And it's like, no, you're not. Like, you can't even afford a Netflix password account. Like, come on, you're not in your own category. Um, no, I like be very simple. Okay, I like keeping it extremely simple. Okay, here are the competitors, but here's what we do and what we focus on. Right? Here is our focus. Here is our niche. Here is what we're doing that they're not. Right? Very, very, very simple. So you showcase it. Yeah, it is a large market. There are competitors. Are they going to copy you? Maybe. Maybe you have patents that are already granted. Maybe they're patent pending. Maybe you already have a nice little niche that you can take over. And it's really about focusing on that niche and dominating. I mean, I see so many decks that even good ones that are just like, well, we're dominating our local geography. So by next year, we're going to take over Asia. It's like, what? Listen, you're in one zip code, okay? And it's cool that like you're just like a UK based company and you're here in, I don't know, the Ramsgate area outside of London, but everybody, all your users, you're testing, it's working, it's great. Let's like, scale it down a little bit. Let's start, get the rest of the geography before we, expand into other verticals with like they have other languages, customs, laws, and you have no one on your team that has an international distribution, international relationship, international business experience. So it's really dominating the niche. It's really focusing on that niche and going, I don't care if it's region to region, city to city, state to state, find something where the people are that they really like it and let the streets find a way. Let them evangelize it. Let them spread it. When I was doing, a lot of different startups, like when we were doing the dating app, because Miami was so transient, a lot of the people would be from other places, so they would leave Miami after having their hopes and dreams crushed, or after they got arrested, or whatever, after they got evicted, typical Miami stuff. And then they go back to like Kansas or Missouri or whatever, or Austin, but they would still be on the app and they would tell their friends. So it would just start to grow that way, right? Little pockets, which was cool. So, you have to kind of put it out there and see what happens with it. I mean, Facebook started with a handful of schools, and then they went to other schools, and they went to other schools. They didn't just go, all right, metaverse day two, right? Like they didn't want the international. It was just really a core group of schools, and it was really for college kids because it was cool. We don't want your parents on Facebook. Now Facebook is all parents. It's horrible, but like it was cool. So you want to start with something that's cool and that's sticky and that's with your niche and that you can do. And I mean, again, Facebook wasn't the first social network. They dominated, I mean, everybody had Tom as their first MySpace friend. And boy, was he a great friend. He was always in my top eight. And you had Friendster. I mean, you had all these different things. So there's always competition. It's just what can you do better on a niche that you can dominate and that you can make sticky and that you can make people evangelize and share and really enjoy it and spread it that way. Right. So there's always going to be competition. I hate the quadrants. I hate the graphs. I hate the check marks and the X's. Just showcase, okay, this is what they do. This is what we do. This is why we're different. This is why we're going to win.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to that. And I don't know if the psychology of, well, we have to stand out. So we have to say we dominate. We have to say we're the best thing since sliced bread. We're, this embellishing of how insanely new and different it is versus just owning, like, hey, we've got really good traction. We are doing this thing much better than these guys. And, we've got a strong team with experience and just kind of own, like, do you think it's better to just be a little bit more real than trying to do this
Yes.
embellished thing?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think people feel like they have to be this, like, we're dominating, we're gonna kill it, we're the best thing ever. When really it's like, just be, I don't know, to me it would actually spark more interest to just be like confident and strong, but not this like over the top thing. What do you think?
Of course. Well, I mean, listen, there's something called due diligence.
Yeah,
We're going to go into like the data room. We're going to look you up. We're going to see if that we're really the best ever and we're dominating. We're going to see that, we've got 200% growth. Yeah, you had 0 people and like 10 joined. Okay. It's like we scaled up our revenue by 100%. Okay. You were going from $10 to $100. Okay. Like they're going to see through that. So I feel that you have to have a persona. You have to be fanatical about what you do, but you have to come off as sane. You know, Investors are essentially, if they invest, they're your silent partners, not for the next 6 months, not for the next 18 months. They're going to be with you for the next 5 to 12 years. If you have that exit, that's beautiful. That's what they want. They're with you every step of the way. So they're not going to want someone that's insane. They're not going to want someone that is going to be like, puffing up their chest and, bragging and fighting with people on social media. They don't want that. They want people that are sane and normal, that are focused on the business, that are meeting their benchmarks, that are expanding and that are growing, that are constantly moving the ball forward so they can get to that acquisition, or they can get to that exit, they can get to that payday. So yeah, I mean, I see people all the time and I don't even want anything to do with them, let alone take a call with them. Yeah, I see what they post on LinkedIn. I see how their DMs come into me. I see all their stupid, connection requests with their messaging and all that stuff. And it's like, you don't want to deal with those people. I mean, it's and even so, I mean, even if they're trying to be like humble, they still have crazy ideas. Like we're so I saw one the other day. I see it a lot too, and I don't know who's actually doing it because I think it's a whole giant extra lift and it's more money. But people that are going to build their own AI influencers, right? Instead, I'm sure there's a service that has AI influencers. You can just pay $20 a month or $30 a month. But no, we're going to build 500 AI influencers that we're going to manage, and they're going to push our product to the real influencers. So all the influencers are going to be talking. We're going to go viral. Boom, done. $20 million a month. And it's like, all right, that's a heavy lift. And you don't have anybody on your team, at least from what you showed, that can deliver on that, that can execute on that. So even though the deck looks good, even though you have, it's designed nice, even though it's somewhat sane, there's parts of it that are just like crazy. It's like asking for $25 million to start the company when you have nothing, that you're not incorporated, you have an idea, there's no MVP, you don't even have a team, there's a question mark. There's a question mark for the CTO, which is the most important role if you have a tech company. It's in the name, CTO, Chief Technology Officer. I mean, so it should follow that. And people just they don't get it. So yeah, it's going back, it's not easy. I feel like you really have to be focused on knowing what you're doing, and you really have to know how to do a business. I mean, a lot of people don't know how to sell,
Mhm.
and in raising capital is selling yourself. It is selling the vision, it is selling the dream, it is selling the fact that if you give me $100,000 today, that in 7 to 12 years that $100,000 is going to be worth 250 million, right? It's that life changing. That's how every VC fund operates. It's power law. They want to give you that small little teensy tiny amount of money so then you can, have the IPO and be a billionaire. And then you can brag to all your investors, your LPs, your friends, and how you discovered this, how a $100,000 investment turned into $250 million. And I'm going to show you how with my course. Maybe not that. But that's what people want. So it's very hard to do that as a startup. We always hear about the wins. We don't hear about the tens of thousands of others that just collapse. They implode like a neutron star. They go away. They fade away. Hey, you were working on that dating app for pets. What happened to it? Oh wait, his LinkedIn's not even active anymore. I mean, so you really need to be sane and focus on the business and know how to sell, know how to approach investors, know how to run a business, know how to scale, know how to get clients. I mean, you have to wear a lot of hats, and if you don't, you have to delegate to people that do, and you have to find those people, and it's never fun. Okay, it's a lot of boring work. The sexy part and the fun part comes when you get the TechCrunch article when you actually raise. Most of them never get that. Some startups are ex, Facebook, ex Microsoft, ex OpenAI. They can scale fast, they can raise fast. Some of them are people that are just, I don't know, ex wife, ex husband, ex con, and they just don't raise any money, and that's it. So it really depends.
Yeah, it's crazy. Um, I think one thing I've noticed lately too is people are selling their deck like they're selling to their end customer in some ways versus selling the things that investors care about. And I think that's a subtle distinction, but it's an important one for entrepreneurs to sit back and look at it like, what do investors care about versus my customer? But I totally agree. It is sales and relationship building, which,
It is, and it takes time, and it's like, listen, it's an annoying process
yeah.
to go and to pitch and to go to these events and to try and get into an accelerator or to go the incubator route. I mean, you have to be fanatical about what it is you're doing. The
Mhm.
people that always win are fanatical about their product and their customer, and they will work the 7 days a week to get to it. They will, be that's all they think about, right? And those are the kind of people that will see doors where everyone else sees obstacles,
Yeah.
right? The obstacle, oh, it's Friday, I'm going to happy hour. This startup can wait till Monday. It's or Tuesday. Actually, make it Wednesday. Wednesday, come in prepared to work. I'm gonna have a fun weekend. I mean, it's really tough to build something out, and it's so competitive, and everything is moving so fast because of AI right now. There are so many tools, and it's really an interesting time because right before I did this, I was at a Founders Institute talk, and the first half of the talk was just on economic uncertainty and doom and gloom, and then the second half is this is why it's the best time to invest. you know, so it really depends on your perspective and your appetite for risk. But yeah, it's never the perfect time. You always have to hustle. You always have to be prepared for expect the unexpected, and you always have to be willing to do whatever it takes to get to that next level. And I always tell founders like if you can do all that and you can start making money and showcase that you can just build this out and scale it on your own, then don't waste the time even asking for money until you're ready. Because when you are ready, it's going to be much more sexy to be like, oh, look at us, almost $100,000 a month in revenue, as opposed to look at us, 100 people on a wait list, not including my mom, my dog, my high school best friend, and just one dude that found me on Twitter that loves my posts. Awesome. Like you want to be in a better position, you want to have a stronger signal.
Yeah, that makes sense. How about live pitching? So you get in a Zoom. Well, actually, let's step back real quick because I think this audience is a little bit more. I think it's an important distinction because a lot of people do think like, oh, I'm supposed to just go start applying, pitching to VCs when they're not ready.
Mhm.
But if they're not ready for VCs, because it's almost easier in a sense to just, I think that's why people do it because you can just Google online VCs, there's an application or an email, and you can click send. It's a lot harder to go out and network and find angel investors and private
Mhm.
investors. What's your advice if they're not ready for VC, they need to raise funding, they really do need, maybe it's a consumer product, they legitimately need some money. Any advice for those people?
Yeah, it goes back to the investor targeting, right? There's angel networks, there's syndicates. You could use, oh, I don't know, the platform that I work with, OpenVC, to search by check size, geography, industry vertical, company stage, and find your investors that way.
So tell us a little
But
bit more about that real quick.
yeah, so with OpenVC, you can search through 5,000 investors, everything from institutional to individual, as well as read plenty of helpful content, most of it written by me, and about your pitch deck, about your valuation, about startups, venture capital, technology in general. But the platform itself is meant to help founders connect with investors. It literally is a search tool where they can type in CPG and a list of CPG products, and you can narrow it down. CPG North America, CPG early stage, and find these people. And these people will either say introductions only, rats, can't get in touch with them, or they will say send a deck. And through the platform, you just click, upload your deck, use our new AI tool, which actually reviews it to make sure it's ready. And if it isn't, it'll give you a nice message. My favorite is making sure you're not the subject of Shaun Gold's LinkedIn posts. That actually comes up. I'm very proud of it. And if it's ready, you can send it through their own CRM, and boom, it's there. So it really game changes it because before I worked with them, I was in the middle of just working with people and having to connect, vet them myself, and connect them with people in my personal Rolodex. And people still maintain, well, you have the connections, let's do it. But a lot of these people I know aren't investing, right? They're just not investing right now. And if they are, they're going to be looking at something that's less risky and is more further along, either at a late seed or an early Series A. Revenue, growth, traction, strategic partnerships, enterprise clients, you name it. But going back to your original question, it's I would look up, depending where you are, startup events that are local,
Mhm.
right? And I would go. Granted, if you're in certain cities, there's going to be more. New York City and Silicon Valley and San Francisco and Los Angeles are going to have much more than, Frog Butt, Arkansas, just the way it is. But we live in a digital world. There are plenty of Slack groups that have virtual, startup events that you can just log on, be in the chat, type out, hey, this is what I'm working on. Here's my LinkedIn. If anybody thinks it's cool, connect with me. A lot there's always a way. There has to be a will,
Yeah.
right? and there's plenty of online events. I mean, I personally don't go to startup events. I always do online. I don't got time to sit in traffic and go, right? Like, I'll go if it's within like a 10-minute drive for me. But that's it. Otherwise, I don't care. I mean, unless I'm speaking or something, but even then it's like send me the Zoom link, please. It's yeah, there's always an event. There's always a Zoom. There's always, a Slack channel doing something. There's always a Q&A. There's always an Ask Me Anything. There are ways to network. Okay. And if you're looking like, online for LinkedIn and you do your research and you find an angel or something, send them a nice message, not GPT generated, not bombarded with everything. I think it'd be a great fit. Here's my pitch deck, my data room, my business plan, my marketing plan, my bios. Oh, and a partridge in a pear tree. Oh, and my calendar. Like, okay, like you're bombarding. It's better to send a two-line message. See if they're investing. See what their current thesis is. You might have something interesting, and if they're not, you have a connection that you can revisit later on. But I think just so many people want to pillage. It's a numbers game. Hit me 1,000 investors a day. I want it done by lunch, and then I want a meeting by 5, and I want the money by tomorrow. Like again, there's another thing I don't want to see in a deck is a due date for funds on the very first slide. You must invest by this date, or else. Okay, and if I don't, you came to me. All right. I didn't come to you. You can bring that up on a call saying, hey, the round's 95% full. We need the last 30,000 to close it. So if you can do it, let's do it. We want to close it instead of like the round is zero. But I don't got time for fundraise. I'm going to Bahamas. I'm going on vacation. If you get that money in by 2 weeks, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think point there is like investors see through all of that. They've seen it all, so it's like, yeah, don't even bother. Yeah, and that's the other thing. I think it's so much easier now, like there are so many online tools, like put in a little bit of extra effort to find the targeted people. What are your thoughts on the soft approach of like, hey, you have a lot of expertise in this field. I'd love your feedback to open a conversation, or does that not work very well?
No, at least for me, no. Because again, like,
Because you're seeing so many of them, I guess it's
well, I mean, it's like this. It's like I want to ask a stranger to do like something for me.
yeah,
It's just common like courtesy, right? And if I do need something, for instance, okay, I had, I still am, but I have an interest in graphic novels. So I reached out to one of my favorite writers, right, from when I was growing up, and I said, "Hey, I need some feedback and some help. How much do you charge per hour?" And he said, "This is how much I charge." And I said, "Okay, great. What's your PayPal?" And then I paid him, and we had a great call. There was an expectation because it was, "Hey, I need help, and I'm willing to pay." And he was like, "I got paid. I'm willing to help."
yeah,
And the thing is that people don't want to do that because again, I'm bootstrapped. I can't afford anything. Just give me all of your resources, insights, expertise, and oh, I don't know you, and oh, just like my LinkedIn, I spelled your name wrong. Everyone likes to put the U before the A. I don't understand why. It's not that hard. I'm not Chinese, but hey, you do you. That's also another
yeah,
red flag for me. Um, but it's yeah, it's again, there's ways to go about it. Like there are ways to send a nice, thoughtful, well-researched email. I'll give you a perfect example. So I have a soft spot for college entrepreneurship because that's when I did most of my work, right? Here's the cases of two separate DMs. One came from a student, I think it was at like Rutgers. It was something along, not Rutgers, it was like Virginia, like UVA or something. Very nice, thoughtful. They did their research on me. They wanted to have a 15-minute call. No problem. I took the call. Great call. I think they're doing something super cool. They reach out every once in a while with a quick one sentence. Hey, do you think you can help me with this or what should I do? It's fine. Right. Another time I had someone from Syracuse hit me up and it was like a giant long email, no research. And it was just like, I really like what you do. Here's my pitch deck. I really think you'd be awesome. I really want you to work with me on it. I really want you to invest on it. I really want me to plug you in my network. And when I say, hey, this isn't my vertical. Sorry, here's a link to OpenVC. It's free. You can sign up and do it. And no, thank you, nothing. It's just like, well, who do you know that will invest, or who can you plug me in with? So, like, again, that kind of approach nobody likes because I
yeah,
don't owe you anything. I don't know you anything. It's not an introduction. It's not a warm thing. So there are ways to do it. If somebody actually does the research and they come off as a normal, sane person, and they're kind of fit the kind of people I want to help, then yeah, I'd be willing more to take a call to kind of see what I can do. I would limit it 10, 15 minutes. But yeah, it really depends on the kind of personal feeling and the case. But the vast majority of them, it just, we're creating a wedding event space in the middle of Bangalore, and we'd love to have you. And it's like, dude, I don't even know, like none of it even makes sense to me. I don't even reply to that, right? But I get things like that, and or I get the super insane stuff that, listen, Shaun, I know you really can't help me, but you know people, so I don't just need an angel, I need a super angel. And it's like, what's that? Is that an angel bitten by a radioactive spider? Like, well, I don't understand. What's this term coming from? And I had to find out that an angel, a super angel, is someone that not only invests but joins the team as like an actual like member of the team and uses their entire network. And it's like that just seems exhausting. Like it just
That's why you're
so yeah,
investing, so you don't have to do that, right?
yeah, exactly. So
Mm,
it's there's a lot of that. So it really comes down to again doing the research, being polite, being normal, knowing who your audience is. Like
yeah,
like like I said, I speak at a ton of different universities. I'm always, open to helping high school to college age like entrepreneurs because especially now there's so much like influencer garbage out there that's all wrong. So I'm always like willing to answer their questions and help them and give them resources. But when it's like, hey, I'm 50 years old and my wife says I'm insane, but I'm going to prove her wrong by becoming a trillionaire with your help, like that's the kind of stuff that's one big walking red flag.
oh my God. Well, and I think that says it. Like you have a soft spot, college entrepreneurship. Most people do. Like I love consumer products because I know how hard it is. I went through that. So I am more likely to spend more time with people with consumer products than I am tech because in the back of my head, I'm like, tech's easier. So I think it is doing your research, finding people, what are people's interests and if there is any alignment there. I think so to your point about doing the research and knowing and it is a numbers game to some extent, finding that person who is willing to give you that 15-minute call, give you a few.
Yeah, it is. So is AI for corn dogs a consumer product? Because I think it is, and I would love to share my screen and let's take it offline and I'll just show you what I'm working on here because we are going to conquer the entire corn dog and artificial intelligence market in one fell swoop.
Man, yeah, that one. Yeah, no.
Oh, rats.
Amazing. Love it. Well, what else? Anything else like that you just feel compelled to share? I know you have so many good posts again on LinkedIn and
Oh,
OpenVC, everybody's got to go there. Sounds like you have so many free tools there as well. But anything
yeah,
else?
I mean, let's take some calls from the viewers at home, shall we? Caller number one, you're online. Like, I mean, oh, if we don't have that, no, I mean, listen, I assume they'll have some links. So click the link below, right? If connecting with me on LinkedIn, just say you heard me on the podcast, say you had fun, say you like the post. Don't just give me the blank because I'm not going to respond because I just think you're trying to pillage my network. And don't give me the LinkedIn connection pitch of something I don't need or want.
Yeah.
Hey, Shaun, I see that we have a lot of connections in common. And the reason for that is we both love startups and have a pulse. Let's connect. Here's my calendar. Like, no, please no. I would just say it's very hard. It's not for everybody. You have to keep trying. It's a constant learning process. I'm constantly learning myself every day with new tools, new surprises of what comes into my DMs. Um, and of course, new jokes for the people at home. It's but yeah, you have to keep learning and you have to keep hustling and you can't be afraid to fail or face obstacles. And you can't be afraid to, again, step out of the comfort zone and network. And it might take years of meeting the right people to get you to where you need to be. And nobody wants to hear that because in today's day and age of like, I can summon a car, or my Airbnb, or my food. You can't summon success or investment. You
Mhm.
just can't. And it's going to take work. And yeah, it takes years of, again, navigating and finding the right people. But once you have it, you will have this treasure, real treasure of people that will take your call, that will answer email, that will make introductions, that will offer you advice, that will give you insights. And it makes everything easier. It's hard to get there. Not everybody wants to deal with that. But if you can, you will have a real network that can help you, that can really move the needle.
Yep. No, that makes sense. Great advice. Amazing. And real quick, last thing, you've written a couple books
Mhm.
and they look great and I'm kind of curious, like what sparked those topics and, just any thoughts on the books you've written and do you have any more coming out?
Yeah, so I had so many stories that when I was working in nightlife, people kept saying, "You ought to write a book." So, I did. Now it's your turn. You go write one, But then it just kept going because I marketed it heavily. I had a number one marketing book on Amazon when I did it. I did some other books. I had number one entrepreneurship book on Amazon when I did it. So they're relatively old because I switched from doing books to doing more again, just being busier,
Yeah.
doing a lot of more content as far as like LinkedIn content. I've ghostwritten books for people. I do a lot of different screenplays, all that. So I do have a lot of content. I could release another book. I don't know if I will. I have to think about it. It's again, it's fun writing one until you have to actually write it. And then you have to actually release it and market it and hope people read it in an age of really short attention spans. But yeah, again, it was something that I wanted. Everyone kept telling me to do, and I wanted to do, so I did it. Right. So I don't want to close the door fully on the books, but in the future, I think there will be one, and I'll try to keep it cool. I won't have my ugly face on the cover, like everyone does with their startup books with the arms crossed, or something like that, and some sort of like one word giant crazy adjective, driven, you
Got
know, how Shaun Gold built a startup comedic empire, and you can too. Like something stupid, right? Like I hate that stuff, right? Like it just now anytime I see someone's face in the cover, I run. I don't like I don't want to do it. Face, full body shot, nothing. Like I'm out. Don't want to do it. But yeah, I would in the future probably write something cool. I have plenty of content, plenty of stories, plenty of fun things.
Well, it's a serious gift to be able to write. I can do business writing, but I'm not like a great marketing, writer.
Oh,
So
come on. Of course you are.
I don't know. I always appreciate, some people just have a knack for it. And so with that, you also have a service, you do ghostwriting
Mhm.
for entrepreneurs who are maybe like me, who don't write or struggle with that a little bit more, who are trying to build a presence, right? And maybe they're
Mhm.
founders who are a little more established. Maybe they do need to go out and raise money, but they haven't been active on LinkedIn. I think that's a great service because I do think building up your personal brand, showcasing your expertise before you have to go raise funding is a really smart, thing to do. So yeah, real quick, tell us about that service and where people can
Yeah,
find
so
that.
it's for everyone from founders to executives. I've exited founders, I have VCs. Essentially, when people Google you, you want to have something come up, and hopefully it's not a mugshot. You want to have something real come up. And especially if you're a founder and you're going to raise, you want to have your knowledge on display. And there have been plenty of cases where people that have raised from their social media because they build in public, they share what they're going through, they share what works, what doesn't. So it's essential. You can't be invisible these days. You have to be out there. But again, it's very hard. GPT generated stuff is slop. People already see the slop. People can't come up with topics. A lot of the topics, especially on LinkedIn, is like, here's what I learned about B2B SaaS while having my eggs at Denny's today in 10 easy bullet points. Like really stupid stuff that no one's going to read. So I, again, write things that matter, that have a beginning, a middle, and an end, like a real story, that have a point, that are educational but also entertaining, and that actually move the needle, that get people to resonate, that get people to connect. So yeah, I've been doing it for a while. I generate across everyone I write for millions of impressions a month. Millions. So it works. It's not like, Shaun, you wrote this, I'm only getting 10 impressions. You only get 10 impressions if you have like 5 followers. Okay. Like it's just such an overlooked part of marketing because you get inbound, you get warm leads, you get introductions. I get people hitting me up every day on LinkedIn just saying they like my stuff and they love. I'm not asking for anything, but they offer to make introductions and say, okay, whatever you want. Like if they like the content, I'm cool. It's when they don't even care about the content. It's just like, here's the deck. You're gonna love it. When I literally wrote a post that day about what not to do in the deck, and you're proving the post right.
Yeah.
Right. It's a little heavy. I can't get it in a file because it's like 800 megabyte. What? I have Xbox games that are smaller, like 800 megabytes. Like create, but like things like that. So yeah, I try to use my inbound and my natural talents to the benefit of others.
Amazing. Well, it's so cool. Thank you for the ongoing daily entertainment that I get a total chuckle out of your LinkedIn
My
post.
pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, they're so fun. Awesome. So yeah, we'll put all your links down in the bottom. Go definitely check out OpenVC and just everything Shaun's got going on. Definitely connect with him on LinkedIn. And if you're watching on YouTube and you have any questions, drop it in the comments. And that's it. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much, Shaun. So appreciate it. You're amazing. And thanks for doing all you do.
Thank you for having me. Smash that like button.
Woo!